Welcome to Mobility Matters, the podcast where kids take the wheel to explore how we get around our city and why it matters. We're part of the Clean Mobility Buffalo Initiative, powered by NYSERDA, working to make transportation in Buffalo cleaner, greener, and better for everybody. Each episode, we share our stories, ask big questions, and talk to the people making change, from bike lanes to buses, and from electric cars to community projects, all through our eyes as the next generation of change makers. So buckle up or hop on your bike and join us for the ride, because when it comes to our future, mobility matters. Thanks for riding along with us on Mobility Matters. We hope today's episode got you thinking about how we can all move toward a cleaner, fairer, and more connected Buffalo. This podcast is part of the Clean Mobility Buffalo Initiative, made possible with support from NYSERDA, and powered by kids like us, who believe our voices and choices can shape the future. Got ideas, stories, or questions? Share them with us. We'd love to hear them. Until next time, keep moving forward, because when it comes to our future, mobility matters. Welcome to Mobility Matters. I'm Blake.
I'm Bert.
I'm Willa.
And I'm Vi. Today we're talking to Senator Sean Ryan about making it easier and cleaner to get around Buffalo.
Hey, Senator Ryan. Thanks for joining us. We are very excited to talk to you today.
It's great to be here today in your studio. It's a lovely place.
To make sure our microphones are working, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
I'm a cheese with mushroom on it pizza. That's sort of my favorite. Sometimes we'll get it regular with cheese. My wife's from New York City, and a typical pizza down there is just cheese without pepperoni.
Really?
Yeah, so she's always, just saying, let's just get a cheese pizza. I was like, we need a little more than that.
Yeah.
All right. Coincidence, my brother also likes cheese pizza.
Way to go.
Okay, so first we want to understand your job and how you got to becoming senator and soon maybe or maybe not mayor of Buffalo. So, what does a New York State senator do? Is it like being the principal of a really big school?
It's kind of like being a principal of the big school, but it's also like being a superintendent. So the New York State government is shaped just like the federal government in terms of there's a House, which we call the Assembly, then there's a Senate, which in Washington we both call the Senate, and in the United States government there's a president, but in New York it's a governor. So the assembly members and the senators, the legislators, they make laws that affect public safety. They also make the budget every year. So the money that we give to, let's say, hospitals, or money we give to help make bike lanes, that all comes from New York State. And we also fund the school districts. So we make money available to other forms of government, and then those governments apply for the money.
Oh, okay. Cool. So follow-up question. What's one big decision you've helped make?
One big decision I helped make was in the city of Buffalo, we have big problems with lead poisoning in children. And at one point, the federal government and the United States Center for Disease Control thought you can eat a little bit of lead and it's really not going to affect you. But all the research showed that as we went on and did more testing, that really no lead is safe. But New York State had the old standard, so if you're tested a blood level of lead, the state would say, oh, that's okay, we don't have to worry about that. But I led the effort and passed a law to change it. So anytime a kid has a lead paint poisoning over a certain level, then public health nurses go to the house and try to make sure that the child has no more lead poisoning.
Okay. I have seen for some of the lead poisonings at my school, John A. Show I mentioned where my brother goes. They have lead hand washing fountains, and they issued an email to everyone's parents that whose kids went to that school not to drink it because of the lead poisoning. So, and then I'm not sure what happened. Maybe someone wasn't listening, but then they they were just started issuing on top, like hand washing water only or drinking fountain water only.
Yep, some of the schools have pipes that come in, and those pipes were made of lead. And sometimes that water gets a little bit of lead in there, but lead's very dangerous to developing brain. So, but that's one of the things they've been working on is lead in hand washing stations and lead in water fountains to make sure that none of our children get poisoned by lead. Because the sad thing about lead poisoning, it affects your brain, and you don't get better. It's not like a broken leg where you might break your leg, but you'll heal. So the damage to your brain is permanent. So it's good that you're aware of that.
What's the coolest thing you've gotten to do since becoming senator?
Oh, boy, that's a tough question. There's so many cool things you get to do because people want to show you things that they do. So in this position, I'd be able to go visit farms. I went to a dairy farm once where I watched a cow be born. That was pretty interesting. I've also been to big factories, watched them, make car parts, which was also really, really cool. And I've been invited to places like bakeries when bakeries open. And when you get to go to a bakery, you know what you get to do? You get to sample things. So those are always nice trips.
Why did that moment matter to Buffalo?
Well, Buffalo is a rich and unique place, right? We have a lot of what we call the old economy. We have a lot of old factories, and we employ thousands of people. But we also have a lot of people trying to do new economy things, like podcasts. I've been on a lot of podcasts, but like starting, their own bakeries or, making small batches of yogurt and selling them in the community. So all those really just reflect the things that are happening in our community. As an elected official, you want to be part of that, but also people want you to be part of that because they vote for you to represent them, and they want to see you, and they want to touch you, and they want to hear from you. So I get invited to a lot of things, which are really fun.
Yeah, so second follow-up. When you said you've been invited to a lot of like farms and factories and whatnot, have you ever gone to a cow farm? Because I've been seeing a lot of things on the news where like there's a new virus that's going around in cows that's apparently making milk not so great.
No, I haven't. I've been to dairy farms, but I haven't heard about that disease you're speaking of. But on dairy farms, they're super careful about washing your hands and making sure the equipment's really clean. So they pay a real high priority on cleanliness. And every day they do the exact same thing on those farms just to make sure that our food supply is safe.
Okay. All right. Like, what's a typical day for you with work? Like, do you have mostly meetings or do you get to go on, like, field trips? You mentioned that you got to do a lot of stuff with, like, dairy farms and, like, stuff out of it. So just wondering, like, what, like, a normal day-to-day would be like for you.
So I think I have 2 different days. The days where I'm in the state capitol, that day usually centers around, going to the floor of the Senate and voting on and debating legislation. And before and after you're on the floor during what we call session, you meet with a lot of different people. But there are people with statewide interests. They want to, start a new program for how you educate pre-kindergarten children, or somebody wants to do a pollution control. So those are usually just large issues that affect all New Yorkers. But when I'm home, it's more local issues. People want you to come see what they're doing. They want you to come to a classroom of a school. They want you to, come to a community center that works primarily with new Burmese refugees. So it's more of a local flavor when you're home. But I would say that meetings when I'm home are split between being in the office, reviewing papers and trying to figure out policy, and then going out and meeting with people. And if I have a choice of asking people to come to my office or I'll go and meet them, I always go to meet them because I really want to see what they're doing and what they're up to. Because there is so much going on in Buffalo and Erie County. It's just a pleasure to be able to go see things that other people don't necessarily, get a chance to see.
Yeah. So this is a follow-up. How much time, do you spend in, Buffalo versus how much time you spend in Albany?
That's a great question. So for the first 6 months of the year, from January to June, I'm primarily in Albany. Try to get home by Fridays and do weekend activities. But then from July to the first of the year, I'm primarily home in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So we say we split the year between half the year in the capital and then half the year in the district.
And when you were our age, did you ever think you'd have a job like this?
I never actually thought I would have a job like this. When I was your age, I was convinced I was going to be a plumber. So I was always taking apart things in my house. Sometimes my mom wasn't happy because I couldn't put them back together sometimes. But I was always trying to, figure out how things worked. And I was really drawn to figuring out, how plumbing worked. So I was often under the sink, and my mother was yelling at me saying, "That's not broken. You don't need to fix it." And I said, "Well, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just trying to figure out how it all works and stays together."
What were you curious about as a kid that still helps you?
I think it's just the general curiosity. I'm always interested in what's going on and what people are doing and, what goes on behind that storefront. How do people make things? So there's not a day that goes by where I don't learn something brand new. And when I was a little kid, I used to like to read. We would get the morning newspaper delivered to my house, and I would actually get up early and read it before school. So I like to really keep up on current events and what's happening in our nation, but also what's happening right in our community. So always been a curious person, and that really continues to this day. And that's why I feel blessed to have the positions that I've able to have in my life, because it allows you just to learn about, so many different things and so many different things in the community that are going on. Just today, for instance, I met with a group of high school students who are thinking about getting jobs and getting educated in the medical field. And they're spent 6-week program. Half the program was visiting local colleges, Duville, Canisius, UB Med School, to figure out what's it like to go to a nursing or to become a doctor. And then they spent the other 3 weeks working in a health center and seeing what's happening there. So I love talking to them about their experiences. And just like you, they're spending their summer looking around, doing things, keeping occupied. So it was very interesting to talk to those people.
Now we're going to move to a different topic on clean mobility and how we move around with less pollution. So first, what does clean mobility mean to you?
Well, I'm a bike rider. So clean mobility means to me that if I can ride my bike somewhere, I'm going to ride my bike somewhere. And as an elected official, I spent a lot of time on laws that make it so when towns and cities redo roads, that they have to think about more than just a car on that road. They think about a bike, a pedestrian, someone on a scooter, somebody in a wheelchair trying to cross the road. So that's what I think of when I think of clean mobility, although I know it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I had two questions. I'm first going to ask my one about clean mobility and then one about something else I've heard you talk about.
Okay.
Why is it important for Buffalo to have clean ways to get around, like better buses, safe crosswalks, and bike lanes?
Because you have to cater to everyone who lives in the city. A big percentage of people who live in Buffalo don't own cars. So we have to make sure our bus system functions well, that the buses show up on time, that when you're waiting at the bus station, you know when the bus is going to come, and that our subway system works. But there's also a lot of people who don't have cars because they have physical disabilities and not able to drive cars. So we have to make sure that everyone in the community can fully enjoy the community, regardless of whether or not they have a car or not. But I also drawn to bicycling because it's good exercise. It gets you out. You get to see things you wouldn't see if you were going by in a car at a high rate of speed. You talk to some people. So I think biking's a great way to get around, but we have to make it so it's safe and that you don't have any fear when you're going for a ride about, being struck by a car or somebody opening their car door and hitting you. We want to make Buffalo a safe enough city so everyone's moms and dads don't have any qualms about you riding your bike to school. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Then my other question was, how exactly will I've heard you talk about this Vision Zero thing for Buffalo.
Yes.
How exactly will that work?
Well, the Vision Zero is this theory, right? And the theory is that no pedestrians should die from being hit by cars. True. And so you should start with that as a goal and, and not accept that a certain number of people being ran over is normal. So then you have to then make policies and rules about how you design your streets to try to achieve that goal. You see in the city of Buffalo, we're not really consistent. You can go to some busy corners and there's a crosswalk and the motorists know you're crossing. And then you go to other intersections and there's no crosswalks. There's no lanes for even the cars to know what lane they're supposed to be in. So it leads to a lot of confusion. But one of the things that really bugged me, one of my pet peeves, you ever go to an intersection and there's a little button to push? It's supposed to make the light turn. Most of the times I push those buttons, nothing happens. Mm-hmm. And I find that sort of it's annoying. It's a bit of a bait and switch. They get you there and you press the button and nothing happens. So you want those to be responsive so pedestrians can cross.
Yeah.
That also happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
Right? What's going on with that?
Like I for some reason, I was at this one crosswalk. I feel like they have sort of like a signal thing. You push the button and it sends a signal somewhere. And then like a signal up to like a traffic light near the crosswalk, and it tells it to turn red so that the pedestrians can cross.
Yeah,
because when you push it, when you push it and it doesn't change, it's just like wait.
Right, and you wait, and I think if those don't work, it makes people say, "I'm just going to ignore it and cross anyway."
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't good policy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about skateboarding as being part of a clean mobility, but I don't skateboard. Do any of you folks skateboard?
I skateboard.
You
I
do?
used to skateboard.
I don't.
You used to skateboard? All right.
I usually just use my bike.
Excellent.
I do skateboard.
What about scooters? Anyone got a scooter?
I have one. I don't really.
I
use
had
it.
a scooter. It doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
I also have a scooter, except it's kind of small.
Yeah, like more a little kid scooter.
Yeah, like our scooters are both like 2.5 feet, and to put that up to our standards, me and my brother were both 4'9".
Right.
So it's very small.
I've seen the scooters adult size. It's like a regular Razor scooter, but it's for
Yes,
regular
I do
people.
I do have a Razor scooter as well. I just had never put it together.
All right, that's good.
For me, I have a friend that has a Razor scooter, except last time I used it, I hit my ankle with the side of the Razor scooter.
That hurts when it hits the side of your ankle. I've done that.
Yep.
I usually use my neighbor's Razor scooter.
That's nice. They let you borrow it.
Well, not really, but
Okay.
If you were the boss of all the buses and bike lanes in Buffalo, what's one thing you'd change right now to make it better for everyone?
So for the buses, I would love it so every bus station had a clock on it that shows you next time the bus is coming. So, if you're waiting downtown, sign will say 20 bus, 7 minutes, 25 bus, 3 minutes, the 7, 12 minutes. Because sometimes the buses you're waiting for, one's going to be faster than the next, but sometimes you get on the slow bus because you don't know when the next bus is coming. So more advanced system. And I'd always like it also so in the wintertime that the bus stops are shoveled out. Sometimes you end up waiting in the street for a bus, and that's not safe in the wintertime. What was the second question? The first one was about buses. What was the second one, Bert?
If you were the boss of all the buses and bike lanes in
Bike
Buffalo,
lanes.
What would
Yep.
you change
What
about
was
the bike
one-
lanes?
I think with the bike lanes, I would just change how drivers think of bike lanes. Sometimes drivers don't think at all about if a car's got their left-hand signal on, they'll go around that car, but into the bike lane. And they don't really see bicyclists sometimes. So, I ride my bike. I'm always very alert. And I myself try to sometimes when you drive your bike, people try to ride closest to the curb as possible. I like to get out a little bit more. And I think it's better for cars to see you. You're more visible. Then if a car does come close to you, you got a little room then to move into the curb. But if you hug the curb too close, then if a car comes at you, you're going to hit the curb and end up falling down.
And also a follow-up question. What's the first step to make those things that you said happen?
I think the bus one is probably the most complicated because it's a big change in how the NFTA runs their systems. But the bicycle one, I think it's a little bit easier because the more we can have public service messaging and communicate to drivers out there that bikes are on the road too, pedestrians on the road too, and there's a great group in Buffalo called Go Bike, and Go Bike's done tremendous work of getting bike lanes put down, of getting share the road signals. So sometimes there's a regular bike lane, but other times when there's no bike lane, they'll have what's called a chevron, and that's designed to just remind drivers, it's not just me and other cars. There's other things going on. So I think that's just got to keep on a public education on that one.
We didn't.
Actually, last time on Mobility Matters, we interviewed someone from Go Bike.
What did you think?
I liked it.
And we also have, have you heard of the East Side Bike Club?
I have.
Yeah, we've interviewed them as well. Yesterday we interviewed Harvey. I forget his last name, but
Harvey Miles and Simon
yeah.
Hughes.
Harvey Miles.
Good
He
memory.
works for
Simon
East
Hughes
Side
did.
Bike Club.
Yeah, it's great. I haven't ridden with them. I went to one of their launches of a ride one day. I went to say hello before they went to a ride. But the East Side Bike Club, they do more than just ride too. They help do neighborhood cleanups and Freedom Park at the bottom of Ferry Street, which was a stop on the Underground Railroad. The East Side Bike Club has adopted that park, and they'll go over there in the spring and fall and help do cleanup. So it's really great how when you bring people together, even if it's around bike riding, next thing you know, you're doing other things together. So it's a great way to build a community.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, real quick question: have you checked out the East Side Bike Club's e-bike library?
No, I haven't seen that.
They have an entire bike library. You can rent out e-bikes. You can donate your old bikes for people to use.
That's great. I've never ridden an e-bike.
What do you think Buffalo will look like in 20 years, and how will people be getting around?
I think in 20 years from now, you're going to see more electric cars. You're going to see more ride sharing, not just Ubers, but actually, cars that are available for anyone to rent for a short period of time to go to the grocery store. I think you're going to see more bike lanes. And I think it's going to be a positive future in terms of breaking our reliance on everyone. If you need to go somewhere, you can just jump in the car and get there. And the other thing I think you're going to see is our neighborhoods being more built up, and hopefully we can build them around transit hubs. So you want to live in the neighborhood where you can walk to get a bus that works and it gets you to where you're going. I'm from the west side, and my first apartment in Buffalo, I got it because it was on a bus route, and I was able to take the bus to work almost every day. And I was so lucky that the bus stop was 2 doors from my house, and the bus was pretty reliable, so it was good. But we want to make sure that those opportunities are multiplied, and it's easier to get around the city of Buffalo, without a car.
We want people to help and learn more about how young people can be a part of Buffalo's transportation's future. What is one thing a kid can do today to help transportation cleaner and safer?
I think you talk to your loved ones that you live with, whoever's your mom, dad, your aunts, uncles, whoever's raising you, and when they say, let's go up to the store to get a quart of milk, and they grab the car keys, you might say, maybe we can walk up to the store, or we could take a bike up to the store. And I think that could help people sort of break off this notion that, it's really easy to get anywhere in Buffalo and to park. And because of that, we'll sometimes drive our car 4 blocks just because you can almost always park right in front of the store, run in there, get your quart of milk, and come back home. But if you left the house at the same time on your bike, you'd probably get that quart of milk and be home faster than driving a car.
There was a study done on a lot of like car gas was used really close to the houses, within blocks away from your house. A lot of it was wasted like that. Instead of going longer distances.
You're right, and that's sort of the mentality we have to break as we fall into this trap of, I'm making dinner. Oh, I need a pepper.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just jump into the car and drive up there to get a pepper real fast. Mm-hmm. And you just realize, oh my gosh, I just drove a car 0.3 of a mile.
I've actually been in a situation like that. Yeah. Sweet Natalia, there's a Wegmans right by where I live.
Yes.
We actually drove there instead of riding a bike just because we needed a bit of corn.
That's what happens.
Because we were having a grill.
Yeah, throwing Natalia right under the bus.
Also, that happened to me once when
was it
my
with
mom
Natalia?
No,
Okay.
with my mom when she drove me to this ice cream place down my street because she's not really a big fan of walking or biking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though usually with my dad there, I usually take maybe a 5-minute walk or a 2-minute bike ride.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
We usually take 3 minutes, and I think it was because our mom, I'm gonna say 2 years ago, something happened, and now she has now she has trouble walking.
Oh, okay. I was recently at a community meeting, and a young family was there, and they had a cargo bike. So it was a bike that had a little attachment on back where 2 kids could sit in. And this mother told me that almost all summer she just rides her bike places, unless you have to go somewhere far away and they have
I've
a
seen
car.
a bike like that at my I had a birthday party a few weeks ago, and one of my dad's friends drove their 2 kids to the party in one of those trailer bikes, and they already decorated it so it looks like an entire a mini house for the 2 kids, and then he's driving out the same speed as a car.
Come on, isn't that fun? That's what we're talking about. That's
I
clean mobility.
I want to try one of those so bad.
That sounds great.
And actually, you just answered one of our questions that we've asked everybody all week. Is it legal to attach a child seat or a trailer to your bike?
Well, that's a good question. I'd have to look into that.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
pretty sure it is, but I don't know for sure.
You just said
That's one question that we've been waiting
you just
for
said
to be
someone
answered all
attached had a cargo bike and they had a trailer attached to it.
Yes.
So we were asking the same thing yesterday. If you could add child seats or something for busy families.
I'll tell you where else they use bikes that you never would think. Inside big factories, like at the Ford plant in Woodlawn. The people who fix the machines, sometimes that's a big plant, maybe takes you 10, 15 minutes to walk. They'll keep their tools in a 3-wheel bike. And when they need to go fix something, they hop on their bike, drive it through the factory, stop, fix the machine, and drive it back to the maintenance facility. Imagine that, getting around a building so big inside a factory driving a bicycle. Pretty cool, isn't it?
So they ride bikes inside?
Inside.
Instead, that would be pretty efficient to get around.
Exactly. Bikes are always really efficient.
Mm-hmm. Do you think grown-ups listen to kids' ideas about what our city needs? How can we make sure that us as kids, our voices are heard?
I think, communicating the way you do through a podcast is a great way to do it. But also, I think the more you enter into conversations with grown-ups, telling them what you're thinking, I think you'll be able to get some changes. Like, let's walk up to that store, or let's walk to get ice cream. I think those are ideas.
Let's just walk a few minutes instead of wasting gasoline for a 30-second drive.
Yeah, my kids used to often remind me, Dad, we just need to go to the store. What are you grabbing the keys for? Let's just walk. And sometimes you hit your head and say, you're absolutely right. We could just walk there. So I think you can still do that and be effective by talking to your parents that you live with and tell them about that. What do you think, Will? You walk around?
Yeah, I usually walk my dog around.
Oh, that's good. What kind of dog do you have?
I have an English Pointer.
Oh my gosh, that's a dog who likes to walk, right?
Yeah.
Is he black and white with spots?
Yeah. No, it's a she, and it's white and brown.
White and brown. Yeah. Mostly white with spots? Mm-hmm. That's great. What's your dog's name?
Ella.
That's a nice name.
If we had an idea for a new bike lane in the neighborhood, who should we talk to first about it?
Well, you should talk to City Hall about it. But what I would also call Go Bike or the East Side Bike Club and say, what do you think about putting a bike path here? And they can give you their advice of whether they think, that's a positive thing or if you're on the right track or the wrong track. But you got any ideas about where you want a bike lane?
Maybe on the way to school.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nicer if we could ride our bikes to school?
Yeah, because a lot of kids at my school bike, and then, I walk to school, so a lot of the time, there's, 10 or 15 kids behind me, and I always have to move to the side on the sidewalk, so it'd be nice that, some kids could walk on the sidewalk, and then other people could bike on the bike lanes if they're there.
That's a great idea.
I definitely feel like for me, when we went to the place where they enforced the lead thing, the John A. Shirley, it's like a 2-minute drive, and then we actually never thought about when we went there. Why are we taking a 2-minute drive? Why not just walk? Because when we walking to school, I'd be there before the bus. If I left on my usual bus time, which was 8:30, and walk 15 minutes, I'd be there at 8:45 before the building even opens at 8:50, and my bus wouldn't even be there yet.
That's a great measurement of efficiency. Sometimes walking's the best way.
This one's broken up into 2 different parts. So the first part, what exactly, in your words, what exactly does it mean to collaborate?
Collaborate means you'll work together to try to come up with mutually agreed upon solutions. So I find when you collaborate, the best thing you can do is do more listening than talking. Then you could really understand what the other person is looking to get done.
Okay, and the second part is, who would we need to work with to make our ideas happen? Like our parents, our teachers, our neighbors?
I think you have to work with all of them and some of the people you've already interviewed. And you could reach out to your elected officials too, your council members, your county legislators, and your state legislators to talk about some of your ideas.
Okay, and right now, let's finish this off with a lightning round. Just quick, fast-paced questions, fast-paced answers.
Let me see if I can keep up.
So first question is, do you prefer a bike or a bus?
Bike.
Okay. What's your favorite bike trail in Buffalo?
My favorite bike trail in Buffalo is along the Niagara River.
For some reason, I find a lot of people have been saying Delaware Park.
Mm. Right. Delaware Park's great, but if you drive around the river, you can see the river going by, which is super cool to me.
Favorite post-meeting snack?
I like to drink an iced tea with lemon in it.
Favorite animal at the Buffalo Zoo?
The buffaloes, because you don't even have to go in the zoo to see them. You could walk around Delaware Park and see the buffaloes.
Mm-hmm. And then what's one thing you're excited about for Buffalo's future?
One thing I'm excited about in Buffalo is trying to make Buffalo a hub of clean mobility to make sure we can all get around our city and stay fit, stay safe, and burn a lot less carbon.
I was going to say, if you do become mayor, try to think about enforcing the bike lanes priority, because there's actually someone who works here at the office across the hall, Clementine Gold Group. Wait, no, they don't work for Clementine Gold Group, but they do another podcast with someone who works at Clementine Gold Group. They actually say that they do sometimes park in the bike lanes.
People park in the bike lanes sometimes, and it drives me bananas when I'm out for a bike ride.
They park in it. They literally just drive in it. Like they see traffic. They see traffic, and they're like, "Oh, come on!" Then they see an empty bike lane, and I'm like, and they're like, You know what? Forget it. Let's just drive in the bike lane.
That's right. Yeah, can't do that.
That's definitely annoying.
That's right.
Especially for the bikers.
And also, she told us not to drive in the bike lanes.
Yeah, you should not drive in bike lanes unless you're on a bicycle.
So now we're just going to wrap it up with one more question because, well, that's all the time that we have. Thanks for being here. Where can people go to learn more about you and the work that you do?
They could go to Sean Ryan for Buffalo. You Google that, and a bunch of stuff will come up. Video clips will come up, little Instagram things will come up, and longer explanations of policy.
Thanks for listening to Mobility Matters.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for riding along with us on Mobility Matters. We hope today's episode got you thinking about how we can all move toward a cleaner, fairer, and more connected Buffalo. This podcast is part of the Clean Mobility Buffalo initiative, made possible with support from NYSERDA, and powered by kids like us, who believe our voices and choices can shape the future. Got ideas, stories, or questions? Share them with us. We'd love to hear them. Until next time, keep moving forward. Because when it comes to our future, mobility matters.